Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. And you can already tell from the title what this video is about. And really enough, the time I'm doing this is actually around the time that good friend of mine, friend of some of us, John ZeroCool1389 has come back. Very nice guy, John. He actually sent me this for my birthday way back in May. And there were a few people. There was one person who got very kind of pissy. It's probably not anyone who didn't comment, because this guy was getting really pissy to review this. So I mentioned it a couple times in videos in the past. And then someone said, "Oh, it's not that long." I'm like, you have to be in the right mood. And finally got in the right mood, and seeing John's video and coming back, it was like, you know what? Let me give this a shot. The Walking Dead. And yes, The Walking Dead Season 1, which is this is 2 discs because the first season was only 6 episodes. Frank Darabont was a big part of Season 1. I know he at least directed the pilot. I'm not sure if he directed the others. Now, first I want to thank John ZeroCool1389. Welcome back, man. Nice to see you back, and thanks for the gift. Now, The Walking Dead. What can I say about this show? Watched all 6 episodes. I can say I don't hate the show. I did not hate it. At the same time, though, I don't care to see the other seasons. Plus, I read up a little bit about it, so I know certain fates of the characters, which I'm sure defeats the purpose or interest or whatever. But let me put it this way: I got into it for the first 2 episodes. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes of the show, but by episode 3, I was starting to lose it, and then episode 4 and 5, and I just sort of lost a bit of interest. Okay. I will say it's well shot. Zombies are practical. You have a mixture. You have some CGI, but you also have some practical effects as well. And it's well done. The acting is not bad. You actually have Michael Rooker appear in an episode. A little bit, like a teeny bit in another or 2. I know he becomes a bigger part in either season 2 or 3 or both. The lead guy here who plays Rick Grimes, I thought he was okay. I swear though, they cast this guy because he looks so much like Viggo Mortensen. There are certain times I was squinting, I'm like, is that Viggo Mortensen? No, it's not. It's not Viggo Mortensen, but I swear they cast this guy to make it seem like, because he looks like Viggo Mortensen. I mean, the show, it starts off, okay, the pilot episode, I know that one was directed by Frank Darabont. I believe that's the only one he directed, yeah. At least of the 6 episodes. I think he wrote some of the others. He at least wrote the first one and maybe the second one. The first episode, it started off, yeah, I mean, you have this character who's a police officer, and he's looking for gas, and he sees a zombie girl and shoots the zombie girl in the head, and he's like, okay, this is how it's going to start for the pilot. Then flashbacks, and he's talking with his buddy. Lead character is Rick, so I'm just going to refer to him as Rick. His buddy is Shane, who's another cop. I'll look at as Shane. And they're talking, they have to stop this guy. Car flips over because they put they're police officers, they put this chain thing so the car flips over. And weirdly enough, when the car flips over and they go to approach these guys, the Rick character, I remember thinking, man, this guy's a dumbass. Because All the other cops are behind the cop car, but Rick, he comes in. He's like a sheriff's deputy. He comes in out in the open field and puts a gun. And then he's shooting at the guy a couple times and he misses. Which is fucking weird because later on when he gets to the zombies, he's a crack shot. Boom in the head, boom in the head. He's like a crack shot. But in this instance, he can't hit for shit. He can't hit the broadside of the fucking barn. If you go by that first, well, not first, but that one sequence. They just shot in the vest. And then the other guys take one bad guy down. There's another guy in the car. They take him down. And Rick turns around and is talking about, oh, don't tell my wife about this and that. He's not fucking paying attention. And so the third guy comes out, shoots him in the back, which is a practical effect. Gets knocked down. I'm like, this guy's a dumbass. First, he can't shoot for shit. But then later on, he's a crack shot against zombies. And then second off, well, he was out in the fucking open while his buddy Shane had the right idea of being behind the damn car. And the third thing, you know, turning his back and getting shot. So, of course, one leads to another, and then it becomes sort of the opening of 28 Days Later, where a guy wakes up in the hospital. This is Rick. Wakes up in the hospital and realizes he's alone and everything's been fucked. But after that, when he wakes up, I sort of, like the opening, I'm like, eh. But after that part, I kind of got into it because there's some really good looking shots, you know, him going through the hospital. Still think it was done better in The Stand when Gary Sinise wakes up and is going through it, but it was okay here. I like the shot that he comes outside, Rick comes outside, and you see like a couple bodies, but then you have a wide shot where you have a bunch of bodies, like 100 bodies that wrapped up. Thought it was a good shot. And you have some good looking shots for a TV show. One thing leads to another. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He gets knocked out. This guy comes in with his son. It's a black guy and his son. I believe the one guy is named Morgan. I believe that's his name. Could be wrong. And he's like, he wasn't sure if he's bit or not. Finds out that Rick doesn't know what's going on, so explains it to him. And I like this, because I thought the guy who played Morgan, or even the kid who played his son, I thought they were good. I like this actor Morgan. Part of me is like, man, I kind of wish this guy was the lead. I thought that'd be interesting. I kind of like this Morgan character. I read up that he actually comes back in episode season 3, and I read up what happens to his character, which kind of left me like, really? I know this is based on a comic book, so when I talk about stuff, I know people could go, well, that's how it was in the comic book. I don't give a shit. I really don't. But I know it's based on a comic book. I never read the comic book, and I just don't care. But I was getting into it because I like the sort of... I like the Morgan character, and the guy who played Rick, the lead guy, he was okay. You know, he was okay. Sort of the do-gooder type of guy, though. Not that that's a bad thing. And is able to get some guns and says, you know, I need to find my wife and kid. And Morgan tells him about Atlanta, which when I heard Atlanta, it just made me think of Cyborg or Van Damme. Just, you know, Atlanta, we gotta get to Atlanta. But as apocalyptic, just made me think of Cyborg. Which, yes, I would rather watch Cyborg than Walking Dead. It just as a show, but I was getting into it from the beginning after a little bit because, okay, I like, you know, the lead guy was okay. I like the Morgan character. I like that the Morgan character and his son, they talk about how Morgan's wife and his son's mom is still out there, and she even, good scene where she comes at the door and Rick is looking through the peephole of the door, and she's just staring at it, and is trying to open the door because kind of like the old Dawn of the Dead, you know, why do they go to the mall? It's memories, like repetition, that sort of thing. And he did, later on, Rick gets some guns from police department, gives some to them, and says Morgan and them decide not to go with Rick. They're going to stay there, and this and that. And actually, Morgan tries to kill his wife, who's undead, but he can't. But it was handled well, and he goes off, and I kind of was like, okay, cool. I kind of like this, maybe this idea of, okay, he's going to look for his son and look for his wife, and he's going to go across the country, and he's going to go to Atlanta, and it's probably not going to work out. It's just sort of like a nomad, you know, or you just say maybe like the Incredible Hulk, you know, going from one place to another. And um, I like that he's by himself, and he even finds a farm, and you do some good practical effects like dead bodies, like a person who had shot themselves in the head, and you see bits of gore. You know, for TV, hell yeah. AMC. And you actually do get this shot in there because that's him entering Atlanta, and he finds a horse, and he gets on the horse and enters in. But then he fucks up, and he has to get out of there, and the horse gets eaten, and he hides under this tank and gets into this tank, and he hears on the radio, "Hey, dummy, I can see you." And there's a shot from above the tank. You see like tons of zombies getting onto the tank. I mean, that's how the pilot ends. I'm like, okay, I'm getting interested. And then I really like the second episode because it's him in the city. He gets out of it, and the guy who helps him up is this guy. I believe he's Glenn. He's a Korean guy who you find out later was a pizza delivery guy. He helps him out. He gets to a group of survivors. I think one of them is Lauren Holly. I may be wrong. And you have a few others. And I liked it because they were in the city and they're trapped in the building, and you know the wide shots of the zombies in the city were well done for a TV show. I like that, you know, it's just them trying to escape the city and trying to get out of there and this and that. And you actually have Michael Rooker in the second episode as an asshole. Of course, he's the asshole. And Chris, part of me thought, man, how cool would it be if Michael Rooker was the lead? That would have been cool if Michael Rooker was the lead. It just, I mean, the lead guy's okay, but I'm not going to say I loved him. I didn't love the lead guy. He's okay, but he's a little bit bland. I mean, he's okay. I didn't hate him, but it's like, oh, Michael Rooker, or the guy, the Morgan character in the first episode, or I just, you know. But Michael Rooker's the asshole, and one thing leads to another. They have to handcuff him to the roof, and they have to have a plan to get out of there. And long story short, they come up with this plan where Rick is going to drive this van, and the Glenn character, the Korean guy, he's going to drive this car with noise to get him out, zombies to follow him, and pretty much to get out of there. You have this one guy who is going to unlock Michael Rooker's handcuffs, but he trips and drops the key. So he's not able to get to him, so he has to leave. And it was like, okay, I'm getting into this. And then it's when the third episode that really just started, bleh. Because the third episode, all it is, I mean, throughout the first, mainly the second episode, but a little bit of the first, mainly the second, you pretty much get, there's a camp of survivors who are part of the survivors that Rick finds in this building. You know, the Korean guy, and you have this black guy called, I forget what his character's name was, T-Dog, and others. They were actually a smaller part of this group that has a camp. And lo and behold, that same camp has Rick's wife, Rick's son, and Rick's buddy from the beginning of, you know, the pilot. And, you know, Rick's buddy is stooping fucking Rick's wife, and Rick's wife thinks he's dead. And by the third episode, everyone's come back into that camp, and Rick is reunited with his wife and kid. And granted, I'm sure this was in the comic books, and that's why. So it's like I can't fault it, but at the same time I can, because it's just, it wasn't that interesting. I'm like, okay, he's going to look for his wife and kid, and then by the third episode he finds them, and I'm like, wow. By the third episode, it's like, how fucking convenient, and wow, that didn't really lead to nowhere. It just, okay, it's, I would much prefer it. I'll be honest, I rather much prefer a TV series where he's going from place to place and encountering survivors, and you know, from one city to another, and it could be one episode in a bar, one episode in a on a farm, one episode in a prison, which I know season 2 is on a farm, season 3 is in a prison or whatever. But it's like some survivors maybe stick with them just because, some don't. But it's like a nomadic where each episode, not each season, each episode they're going from place to place, but not really the case. And I just didn't give a fuck about this drama, about this Shane character stooping fucking Rick's wife, and Rick's now, okay, I don't want anything to do with you, Shane, because you said he was dead and he's not dead, and I'm sticking with him because he's my husband, and I didn't give a fuck about that. I was fine with it in the Dead Zone. I'm talking about the TV show. I mean, the TV show. But this, I just didn't care. And you have the brother of Michael Rooker's character getting pissed because they left him. And I like the guy who played the brother, Daryl Dixon. I know I've seen this guy before, and he's like has these arrows. I liked him. I liked him. Sort of a redneck type of character, which probably makes sense because I'm a redneck. But I liked him. I did like him. But remember, the third episode is, oh, that's bullshit. You left him there. When they release another, they go back to get Michael Rooker back. And when they get there, they find out, oh shit, Michael Rooker sawed his own hand off and he's disappeared. And he comes back in season 2 or whatever. 2 or 3 or whatever he comes back in. I mean, that's the whole third episode. And the fourth episode is Rick trying to get these guns that he dropped in the pilot episode when he got into that tank. And he also wants it because there's a radio so he can talk to that Morgan, that guy in the sun in the pilot episode, which we don't hear anything from until one episode in season 3. And then the Korean guy, he gets kidnapped by this group of folks that come out of nowhere, and they have to follow him, and then they got guns on them, and these guys say, okay, you want this guy, Glenn, the Korean guy, you want this guy, we want your guns. And it's like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? They have a standoff, and then this old woman comes out and says, hey, don't take my son, and Rick's like, I don't want your son, or whatever the hell it is. Brings him in, and you find out, which I thought this was, I didn't see this coming, I must admit, this was a nice twist, I didn't see it coming, that these thugs are not really thugs, they're actually, it's a front to protect this nursing home with these elderly folks who were left behind. And that was an interesting twist, I will admit. That's one thing about the episode 4, it was an interesting twist, I did not see coming, I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was interesting. I mean, I'd probably say, other episode 1 and 2, that one I probably liked, because I thought it was an interesting twist. And Rick feels sorry for them. They get the Korean guy, and they get some of the guns. They leave some of the guns to them. I thought that was an interesting twist. And they get back to their camp, and they didn't find Michael Rooker's character. They get back to camp, some zombies have entered the camp and killed a couple people. And then episode 5, once again, nothing much to episode 5. It's just, you find out one of these guys in the camp was bitten. Rick, the lead guy, says, oh, we gotta go to the CDC. Shane's having a hissy fit because he can't get no poontang from Rick's wife now. And he's like, no, we need to go to this military thing. And it's like, oh, what the fuck we gonna do? What the fuck we gonna do? What the fuck we gonna do? Okay, we finally go there. They go to this place. Oh, come on, open the door to the CDC. And then finally it opens up, and like, holy shit. And really, that one was a pile of nothing. I know it's meant for characters, but for the most part, it's just little side characters I don't give a fuck. Lauren Holly, you know, her sister being bit, I didn't give a shit, because I didn't really give a fuck about Lauren Holly's character. This one guy who, all I know, he's got a beard, and he was digging ditches before, because he had a dream and something. I didn't give a fuck about him, so him being turned into a zombie, I didn't give a shit about. There's some characters I like the redneck guy with the arrows, and the Glenn, the pizza delivery guy, and the guy who played, what was his character's name again? T-Dog. He's fine. I liked him. But these other characters I didn't give a shit about, and that episode was just nothing. And then the last episode of the season is, okay, they finally got in, and it's the CDC. And pretty much this guy who, I know the actor's name is Noah Emmerich. I remember him he was Jim Carrey's buddy in The Truman Show, who was working with behind the scenes, but he acted like Jim Carrey's buddy. He's a scientist, and he invites him in and says, oh yeah, it's fine. Think it's fine. But then you find out that there's this countdown going down, and he sealed the place up, and he goes, it's all hopeless, it's all hopeless. You know, wouldn't it be better to die here? There's no chance out there. Rick convinces him to open up the doors. He does. They get out of there. And, like, there's this grenade that Rick finds in, I think, the pilot episode. No, it was the second one. It was I can't remember. It might have been it was the end of the pilot. It was when he was in the tank. So it was at the end of the pilot or at the beginning of the second episode. He finds this grenade. And like, oh, cool. What's he going to use the grenade for? To throw it at some zombies? No, it's to blow up this glass door or glass wall because it's the CDC. I guess, you know, the glass is unbreakable, but he has a grenade, and that's how they use a grenade, to blow up some glass. I went, oh, that's kind of lame. I think that would have been nice to use grenades, like, you know, throw it against a big group of, like, blow up. I mean, the building does blow up because it's the decontamination thing, but, you know, use it to blow up a building with zombies. But hey, maybe that wasn't in the comics, so you can't do that. And they pretty much escape, and then the season ends. I mean, for the most part, the characters, if I think about characters I actually liked or that I actually cared about, I mean, I guess I could say I did like the Korean pizza delivery kid, the guy who was T-Dog, the redneck guy with the arrows. I liked those three. The guy who played Rick, he's okay, but it's just, I don't love him. I know a lot of people love him. He's just there. He's just there. He's just there. The guy who plays Shane, maybe that's the point, not to care for his character, but I still don't care for his character. Yeah, this older guy played by Jeffrey DeMunn, or DeMunn, I never know how to pronounce him right. But Jeffrey DeMunn, he's been in quite a few stuff. I mean, I remember he was in the Blob remake as the sheriff, and he was also in the original The Hitcher as the police officer. So it's okay, cool. He's in there, got a white beard. I liked him. That's another guy I liked. But some of these other people, Lauren Holly's character, I don't care about. Rick's wife and kid, they're there. You could take them or leave them. The Shane guy, the one with the shotgun, don't really care about him. I'm not really interested in the whole. Rick doesn't find out by the end of season 1 that his buddy was stooping his wife, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. So the pretty much the dramatic stuff, I know people are interested. I did not care. I didn't give a shit one way or another. Again, I liked the first 2 episodes because it was kind of like, okay, they're on the move. Whatever it is, it's on the move. But then we're stuck at this camp, and we're stuck at this camp, and then, oh cool, they got to the CDC, and then, okay, they're stuck in there, and it's mainly them enjoying it. And really, the last episode is all for nothing. I mean, I know that's probably the point, but they get there, and for 1 episode, they're enjoying themselves. Oh shit, this place is going to blow up. This guy traps us in. He finally lets us go, and we get out of there. So really, it was all for naught. I mean, I guess that's the point, but it just seemed useless and pointless. Again, maybe that's the point, and maybe that's how it was in the comics, okay? But it just... I'm like, okay... if the episode never existed, I would not have given a shit or mattered or anything in between. It was what it was, and I I will say the zombies look good, and yeah, some practical stuff going there. I gotta commend for that. Some nice looking shots. Gotta commend it for that. Some musical choices, like there was one more where they use, if anyone knows The Surface of the Sun, that piece of music from Sunshine, which you kind of hear in Kick-Ass. They used that, and I thought it was really a shitty way of using it, because it's just when this group is leaving camp and going to the CDC. I'm like, that's such an epic piece of music. It's just them in their little caravan going from one plan A to plan B, or should I say point A to point B. It is. After watching this, I have no interest in the other seasons. I really have no interest. I know in the second season they go to some farm, and in the third season you have some prison. But yeah, the first two episodes, I'm like, okay, I'm getting into it, but I just would. Again, it was based on a comic book, but I just would have preferred the more Nomad per episode, where, I mean, if you think about it, these 6 episodes, they probably take place in how many days? I mean, I know he gets in a coma and stuff, but not counting that, he wakes up, he stays the night, so I would say about 1 day. Then he goes there. I don't know how long it takes him to get to Atlanta, but he gets to Atlanta at the end of the pilot, and then he's trapped in there, and then they're trying to run around, trying to get out. They finally do get out, and they get there and spend the night. That goes from episode 2 to episode 3. There's like, oh, we left Michael Rooker there, and then we gotta go back, and that's where you get the Vatos, because that's what the episode's actually called, the Vatos. And you have to do that. I don't know, 5 days, not more than 5 days. Or I don't know, I don't know where I'm getting at. It got boring after a while. I will admit, it got boring. It got boring. I didn't care about the drama that was going on. The lead character, I think he's kind of bland. It's just, okay, he's a do-gooder guy, and he's not bad. It's just, he's just there. I don't think he has a presence, or... In a way, he made the stupid choice. He made the wrong choice. Because it's like, hey, let's go to CDC. And even the Shane guy, who I don't like either. Well, I probably like the lead guy more than Shane, but in a way he was right, because he's like, no, let's not go to CDC. And the lead guy's like, yes, we must go. And really it ended up being pointless. So, yeah, I know maybe that's the point, but I just lost interest. I don't know how else to explain it. Is this some good zombie stuff, and like effects-wise? I like the pilot, and I like the second episode, and I like that little twist in the Vatos episode. I thought it was a nice little twist, but all in all, it's like I watched a whole season and not much seemed to progress. It seemed like it didn't really go too much of anywhere. It's like not much really progressed, and I just watched an entire season, and it didn't seem like it really went anywhere. And it kind of got tedious and boring, and from what I've heard, people said this is the best season, so for watch season 2 and 3, damn. I don't know, I liked some of the shots. I thought the zombies being practical was cool, and some of the blood gore, yeah, some practical, that was cool. And I just would have preferred like a more nomadic, okay, don't have, again, it's hard to argue this because I'm sure that's what it happened in the comic, but at the same time, finding his fucking wife and kid by episode 3? Episode 3? Which I know is weird. I said there's not much progress, but yeah, I guess there's that. He found his wife and kid and his best friend by the 3rd episode. I'm like, I would have like saved that at least for, well, this was only 6 episodes, but if it was like a actual season of, sometimes they're 12, 13 episodes, sometimes 14. I've seen whether it's 21 episodes a season. Let's say 20 episodes, and by the end of the 1st season, maybe he finds his wife and kid. But not at the 3rd episode. He's just like, okay, that was quick. He just, oh, you found him. Okay, now what? And like, you know, having the grenade way before, it's like, oh, just to blow up that piece of impenetrable glass. And it just felt lackluster to me. I know a lot of people love it. I mean, this is called the greatest zombie epic of the last 3 decades. Last 3 decades? What year did this come out? The last 3 decades? 2010? So the 90s, 2000 to 2010s? Like 1990 to 2000? No. From 2010 to 2000 to 2000, 1990, 1980. 30 years. I can't do time. That's 1980. Duh, not 1990. So I'm losing it now. Because 1980 plus 20 is 2000. Plus 10 is 2010. That's 30 years, 3 decades. This is a zombie epic in the last 3 decades? I would say Day of the Dead, the original. Or Dead Alive. Or Return of the Living Dead. Or, it's, you know, it's not a zombie film, but 28 Days Later I liked more. I mean, it's not a zombie one either, but The Stand I liked more. It's not a zombie film, but it's an apocalyptic movie. I would just rather watch The Stand, although it has a lackluster ending. I'd rather watch The Stand. I'd rather watch 28 Days Later. I'd rather watch, of course, Dawn of the Dead, either version. This is not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. I mean, I don't hate it, but at the same time, I would never watch it again. I have no interest in season 2 or 3. So I'm sure that pissed a lot of people off, and people going, well, you gotta read the comics, or no, it's that way because it's in the comics, or it's because of this and that. I got bored with it. The lead character is kind of boring. He's not bad, he's just not that badass. Not a presence, and the actor is just there. He's just there. To be honest, I would have preferred a bigger star. Who? I don't know. Hell, if this was Ving Rhames from the Dawn of the Dead remake, then that would have been cool. Hell, you could have done a Dawn of the Dead TV show based off the remake and have it be Ving Rhames, you know, leading it. Because the island didn't work out, and he barely escaped with his life, and you can't go to an island because that doesn't work. So it's just him traveling from place to place and pick up survivors and see what we can do. And the lead guy, he's just there. I'm not really the most interested in the Rick character. I like Jeffrey DeMunn. I like the Glenn character, I think it's Daryl, the redneck guy with the bow and arrows. If he was the lead character, I would be more interested. The lead character was so kind of bland. Some of these other characters, like the Shane character and Lauren Harley's character and such, I didn't give a fuck about. It kind of just sort of stuttered and stopped after the episode 2. The last episode really amounted to nothing. They went there, oh shit, nope. And then they get out and the place blows up. Yeah. you want to hear my thoughts, just go back to the beginning, because it's all, I'm just repeating myself. But yeah, The Walking Dead, not for me, not my cup of tea, and I know I piss people off, but people want to hear my honest opinion, and it's my honest opinion. I don't care to see season 2 or 3, or season 4, and what more can I say? That's The Walking Dead. Wasn't my cup of tea, but hey, what do I know? But anyway, thanks for watching, take care, and see you later.